Uh,
Yes.
hello, hello. Yep. Yep.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shane Schultz. I am the creator and host of the Arisen Strength podcast. I want to welcome you here tonight. We do this show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This show was brought upon a concept of where we think that there are just too many dreams, talents, and capabilities that are being suppressed out there for whatever reason. There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different reasons that can come into play, whether it be injury, illness, or lifetime experiences. And so these types of situations have a way of being able to take our dreams and our talents and capabilities and suppressing them so much so that they almost become non-existent, if not forgotten. And that's why the show Arisen Strength came into play, because what we want to do is we want to encourage people to pursue their dreams in spite of the challenges and struggles that they face. And that's the whole concept of what Arisen Strength is really all about, because it's taking the strength that's within. It's within you, whether you know it or not, and it's taking it and it's putting it to good use to being able to find what is uniquely you, which is what it is that we so have a passion for, to make ourselves different. So that's the whole concept of Arisen Strength, folks. I want to welcome you to here tonight. We do this show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And tonight, we're going to be talking about the power of turning the thought. Hi, Wayne. How you doing today?
I'm doing great tonight, Shane. Thanks a lot for having me, and looking forward to this topic. This is a great topic that we spend a lot of time talking about, and sorry.
We had our computer go down, and so Wayne is trying to catch up. So I'll go ahead and we'll go from there. You know, it's just Wayne and I together tonight. The rest of the cast and everything. Summer events happen as to where people get caught up with family things. They get caught up with different situations. I know that we have one of our cast members, of which is Charles, and by now everybody knows that Charles had a kidney transplant, and things were looking good at first, but then they became challenging. And to be quite honest with you, he really wasn't doing all that well, and we all pretty much knew that. But over time, thanks to the updates that we kept on getting from Charles' son, which is named Chuck, which is no surprise, Chuck kept us apprised of what was going on, and so he let us know the little victories that were coming through, whether Charles was communicating. He was able to start breathing on his own. He was on a ventilator for quite some time. He was able to breathe on his own. His lung capacity was able to sustain that. Well, Charles just keeps on getting better and better. The information that we keep on getting is that he's actually becoming more and more of himself. He's actually being humorous. He's being entertaining. He does get tired quite a bit. So he's doing better, and I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're keeping track of Charles, because when it comes to Arisen Strength, I didn't call it the family for nothing. And obviously, anybody who works with me is going to be part of that family. And so, we're just so happy. And whatever it is that you folks are doing, whether it is that you're praying, whether it is that you're thinking about them, whatever the case may be, keep doing it because it's working. And we all appreciate it so very, very much. So, we've got a few announcements that we've got going. We actually looked at the venue that we're going to have our public event.
Yeah, with some scouting sites.
Yeah. August 15th. August 15th is our public event here in Troy, New York. We're actually going to have a great time. I actually signed the band this past Friday, and I can't be any more pleased with the choice that we made. And then we have the venue. We're still working out the details of it and everything, but it looks pretty good. And I think we're going to have a really good show.
Yeah, it's a little community. It's a community area.
Yeah.
There was a community festival there over the weekend.
Right.
I was able to check it out. There's strong support from the community, so this is a really good chance to kind of get out, bring the word of Arisen Strength, or the awareness of Arisen Strength to the community, as well as bring awareness a lot of the things that Arisen Strength stands for. Relative to support, empower, and celebrate. We want to showcase all aspects of that at the festival.
And I think we will. I mean, we've got a few tents that we're going to be doing. We have suicide prevention. We also have a local group of kids called Kids Voices within Troy, New York, which they have their own Arisen Strength to be able to have the wherewithal to come together in a group, to be able to put forth their feelings, their thoughts about what's going on within their local community. We're also going to have the Human Factor tent, which Dan the Man is going to be manning at the event, and we're going to promote donorship for in regards to whether it be hair, bone marrow, blood, organ donors, whatever the case may be. In fact, a friend of mine from work, her niece is actually today. No, it was yesterday. She actually made the decision to take her blonde hair, which is down to the middle of her back, and she's donating it to the Locks of Praise, which is a donorship in regards to cancer patients for hair. So, we're going to have some pictures. I told her to make sure to take a whole lot of pictures so that we can go ahead and put that on our page, the human factor, because it shows that even the smallest thing, it doesn't have to be an organ, it doesn't have to be something that's life or death in this situation, but it can make a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, I mean, giving somebody sort of that, make a wig when you're going through chemotherapy,
right.
Or whatever reason you've lost your hair while you're undergoing treatment, and it kind of gives you that self-confidence, that self-esteem, and a chance to sort of feel good about yourself, so that you can now address the other things that are going on in your life without being drawn down by your low self-esteem. It's really it's a great thing.
Right, and it's like and just to tie it up with the story here. Her mom was a little bit concerned. It's like, are you sure you want to get rid of all your hair that you've been having for quite some time? And she's not getting rid of it all. She's only getting it to her shoulders, but she has quite long hair. And, at age 6, she said it'll grow back. And so she does know that, that she's actually sacrificing the length of her hair, and she knows that it's going to grow back, but she's able to help out somebody in the meantime. So that's just amazing, and I really appreciate that thought, that concept, because that's what we are trying to get across and promote and advocate for, is that it takes the human factor, it takes the human decision in order to be able to make somebody else's life different and hopefully better.
Yeah.
So, and then you mentioned self-esteem, which we talked about self-esteem last Sunday, and then this Sunday is about turning the thought. And really, there's a reason why that is, because they interlink to each other very, very, very well. I mean, it's to the point as to where, when I was thinking about what it is that I was going to say on each show and everything, I was like, well, do I say that on self-esteem, or do I say that on turning the thought? In some cases, you can take the same exact show and put it to turning the thought. But we're going to do a little bit more than that. We're going to give some more examples of what it is that we personally have been through. Myself and Wayne, and also talk about why turning the thought is as powerful as it is. So here's the thing. When I say turning the thought, well, why do we want to turn our thought? Because what happens is that we're all made for whatever reason, and we all have our thoughts, we all have our ideas, we all have our reasons for doing things. But here's the thing, and I know this personally for myself. When I'm not doing well, when I am in my normal everyday life, my thoughts can be distorted. They can be to the point as to where they are not necessarily talking about facts. They're talking about feelings. And there's a thing that therapists love to say, that feelings are not facts. Well, I used to say, well, here's a fact for you. I feel this way. So, that's just the way that I used to be. And although I understood what it is that they were saying, I really didn't own it.
Right.
Okay? And it wasn't until I started to own it that I started realizing the power of being able to utilize the action of turning the thought, in making a difference in my life. Now, what do I mean by turning a thought? Well, in essence, it's challenging what it is that's going on. It's challenging what it is that you're thinking in your mind. It also is challenging language. It's challenging feelings. Okay. Now, we're a big thing about advocating for what people feel is real, and it is what it is. I'm not saying that just because somebody doesn't believe it, I really don't care about that. If you feel the way that you feel, you do, and you're totally validated in feeling that way. The only thing that turning the thought makes it different is is it challenges it a little bit and opens up your mind a little bit.
Yeah, you're validated in feeling the way that you do based on how you are seeing the situation.
Right.
And so what turning the thought does is it challenges them the way you see the situation.
Right.
It's not going to challenge your feelings. Your feelings are your feelings. But and we do this personally. I'm going to challenge the way I'm looking at a situation. When I get frustrated when somebody is always coming in late.
Yes.
Okay? Well, I'm using words like always coming in late. So when they come in late one time, I'm saying to myself, they're always coming in late, and now I'm getting myself riled up. Maybe I'm getting frustrated. Maybe I'm getting angry.
And you're locking it in.
Locking it in.
You're locking it in. You're dead set on it. You're
and the way you can challenge that thought is that, okay, someone's coming in late. Say, okay, they're coming in late. That's the fact. I mean, they are coming in late in that moment. Maybe they came in late for a reason. I mean, maybe what I could do is, rather than say they always come in late, I could ask them, hey, is everything okay? I noticed you're coming in late tonight. Is everything all right? Now I've kind of changed the way I'm looking at the situation because I'm changing the way I'm looking at it and changed the way I think about it. And because I changed the way I think about it, now I get to feel a little bit different. And I'm not saying I was wrong for being frustrated when they always come in late. Because if I'm thinking they're always coming in late, being frustrated is an appropriate feeling, maybe.
Sure.
But now I've challenged that thought.
And if you take that a little bit further, and that's something that I've had to do, me being challenged with codependency, which is an extreme case, is to where I have to rescue everybody. Anybody has a problem, Shane is to the rescue. It's like if you're falling, I'm running to catch you. If you're crying, I'm running to find out why. It's like if you're struggling, I'm trying to get you to get up, okay? So that in itself doesn't sound like it's a bad thing, because everybody will say, do unto others as you would have done unto you, or it's the right thing to do, or whatever the case may be. But in an extreme, just like anything else, it can be detrimental. So here's the thing, and taking your example, somebody's always late. All right, well, first of all, we're talking about language, okay? So we're going to take the word always out, and we're just going to say he's late for that time, right? Because we're staying within the day. We're not going into the future, and we're not going into the past. Okay, now, here's the thing. Now, you have to follow me here. I used to feel like everything made a difference to me. It made a difference to me. So the fact that this individual was late somehow made a difference in my life. Is that necessarily true? And if it does, how much so? Okay? In other words, they're 5 minutes late. Did that really make a big difference in my life to where I'm going to lock myself into a negative point of view or a negative mindset that's not only going to affect me for that period of time, that moment, but it's going to affect me for the rest of the day or longer? Because that's what would happen to me. I would sit there and I would lock it in, and it'd be like a domino effect. This guy's always late. Then we go into the session or something, or into work or something. And next thing, hey, challenges happen all throughout the day. So all of a sudden you got another challenge, and it's like, geez, this always happens. And it's like next thing you know, you've got a domino effect, as to where you end up having a day that you didn't have to have.
Yeah, no, and it's really important to try and challenge these negative thoughts, because just from a point of view of evolution, we look to the negative, because a lot of times the negative is what keeps you safe. Sure. when you're dealing with life and death situations. I don't mean the life and death situations of my roommate coming in 5 minutes late, but from an evolutionary standpoint, the rustling in the leaves out in the darkness there, if you don't react negatively to that, you might just wander aimlessly out there, and probably most of the times it's okay. But the reason from an evolution point of view, you want to be careful, because there could be a wild animal out there that's going to get you. So we have these natural tendency to react negatively, or to see the negative in situations that are a little bit out of the ordinary, a little bit unexpected, and we have to challenge those thoughts. If you're not challenging your thoughts, even all of your thoughts on some level, then you're never going to be able to turn the thought. The way the thought gets turned, the first step is to challenge the thought, right. And then after you challenge the thought, you have an opportunity now to turn the thought. If you don't ever challenge the thought, you'll never turn.
Yeah, because what you're talking about is a negative bias. Okay, society in general has a negative bias. Why? Look at what we go through. Look at what's going on. It's like I remember saying about 10 times last week, do not turn on the news in the morning, because it definitely will set you into a negative bias for the rest of the day, possibly. We've got a lot of things that are going on. And, here's the thing. We're talking about dreams, talents, and capabilities. Not everybody's going to believe us that we can do what it is that we can do. And so sometimes we're on our own. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're on our own in regards to our thoughts and our dreams and our talents and our capabilities. Some people maybe they can't do what it is that you can do. And then what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to make you seem as if like you can't do it because they can't do it. It's like, again, you got to shed that off. What did I talk about earlier? Earlier this week, shedding people off. It's like if people are sitting there and they're going to be anchors in my life, and if they're going to be to the point to where they're detrimental to my mind, shed them off. It's like you got to go. It's almost like a running back shedding off a tackler to get to the end zone.
Yeah, and you want to do this in a way that's not going to make you feel negative in doing it. You don't want to be judgmental of doing it. Right. What we're doing is we're recognizing we're all on different journeys. And if you just happen to be around people who are anchors for your journey, they have their own journey, and it's at odds with your journey in the moment, then it's okay to let them go and let them continue on in their journey. It's not like you have to do it in the first time that somebody does something, because you can communicate. You have relationships. You try and work out something. But if it turns out that, hey, I'm on a journey here, and this person's journey is not taking them where I'm going, it's okay to let them go, because we all have our individual journeys. We have to own our own journey. Continue on.
And that again, this is where these two shows kind of intermix, because what does that promote? It promotes your own value. You have a value for yourself, and it's one that's in a positive standpoint. We have an audience member who I've talked with numerous times. She had an aide that she was struggling going down the stairs or something like that, and her aide basically was being sarcastic and counterproductive, basically saying, it's like, really, you can't go down the stairs? It's like, you're going to have to figure this out at some point in time, and so forth. Meanwhile, she's struggling, and she's losing. Number one, she's losing faith in her aide. Number two, she's starting to doubt herself, right? Because that's being reinforced, and it's to the point as to where then she starts doubting herself. And she started talking about, it's like, well, it's like I'm stupid, it's like I'm not getting, it's like I wish I could be better. I wish it's like, and then next thing you know, she's in a total depression of a moment.
Yeah, I think we've all had that in our lives, where we have these people that we feel worse about ourselves after we deal with them, after we talk with them, after we share with them. We feel worse about ourselves, and it's not which you might, if you don't think about it too much, maybe it's a lot of times with envy. You're around people who are real high achievers, and so that makes you feel bad about being around them, and that's not it either. It really has to do a lot with being on a different journey, because the example I think of is there's a college football player. He was a college football player. Now he's I don't know, maybe he is in the pros now, but Tim Tebow. And he's this guy who just he tore it up in college football, set every record that really possible.
Mind you, Wayne went to Florida.
Yeah, full disclosure, I'm a Gator. So, as Tim Tebow is a Gator, and he won the Heisman there. But everyone who ever talked with them, from sports reporters to just the people in the street, the one thing that's really common what they said was how they felt better about themselves after having talked to him. Yeah. So this is, here's a guy who one of the greatest college football players of all time. So you would think that, if I talk to him, maybe I feel bad about myself because, I could have been a college football player. Or, I'm not achieving at the highest level in my field, and here's this guy achieving at the highest level in his field, and but you don't get that from him because it's the interaction there that results in this. So if you're around people who you feel worse about yourself after you deal with them, that's a sign that you just need to let them go. Those are anchors on your journey, because you're trying to go somewhere and they're holding you back, and you're feeling worse about yourself after having dealt with them. It gotta cut them loose.
Well, yeah, and getting back to my example here, it's like our audience member sitting there and going into a depression. Okay, going into a point as to where it's like, I can't do this, I can't do that. I wish I could do that, and everything in this sense. And guilting themselves. Well, when I talk to them, I'm like, okay, well, how much of that is a fact? And so, and then she started thinking, and she started thinking a little bit differently, and I'm like, okay. I said, now value yourself. If your friend was going through that, what would you tell your friend to do? And she said, well, I would tell her to get a new aid. Right. Value yourself. So what are you going to tell yourself to do? Well, I'm going to tell myself to get a new aid. But how do, no. It's like, she goes, but then, no. Not but. Because again, we're conditioned to go back and say we're not worthy or we're not valuable in order to make this decision. Okay? So now, long story short, she's got a need. And she thinks this person is an angel compared to the other one because she's actually talks with her, doesn't necessarily help her anymore, but she feels better for being around that person.
Yeah, and you want to be smart when you do something like this too. I mean, this is, especially if you're in this position where you need an aid and you have to get a new aid, don't just you don't want to get rid of your aid that you have and then leave your scoreboard no aid. I mean, it's as Shane said, you get the new aid. So you start the process and you go through the motions and you get the aid that you have replaced. So when you're doing stuff like this, don't cut your nose off to spite your face. Don't put yourself in a more vulnerable position because you have something to prove, because you're going to force yourself to challenge your behavior. You have to do it smartly, but you have to value yourself, and part of valuing yourself is making sure that, hey, if I need an aid, I have to admit that. I have to accept that I need an aid. As much as I want to do everything myself that I want to do, whatever that happens to be, if there's something in your life that you need to do and you need someone to help you do it, you have to accept that and then be smart about a lot of these choices.
Well, and here's the thing, and this is a fact. We do more to avoid pain than what we actually do to pursue pleasure, and because it's our instinct. It's that primal instinct of ours. It's where, in order to feel no pain, we'll do anything. We'll do anything.
Survival doesn't require you to be happy.
No,
it just
exactly.
requires you to be alive.
And then that is where turning the thought makes it so that you start pursuing your value. You start pursuing what it is that makes a difference to you. When you start using, like we talk about language. I wish I could. Why can't you? You can.
Right.
Okay? Here's the thing. You wish you could? Go ahead, do it. Because you can. All right? I wish I could hit a curveball in baseball. Well, you know what? You can give yourself a shot. Because if you don't, if you're going to sit there and you're convincing yourself not to take the opportunity in order to do it, guess what? You never will.
Yeah, I think it's a Wayne Gretzky quote, although it's at least a tribute to him. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are under this assumption that people who are successful and people who are happy, they don't have they don't have challenges, that they don't have defeats, that they don't have situations where it doesn't work out.
Yeah, you think of successful people, you think, oh, that person's never failed. That's not the definition of success.
No.
Success is getting up more times than you fall down. That's what success is. It's not about not falling down. It's not about not making mistakes. It's about going through your mistakes, overcoming your mistakes, learning from your mistakes, and moving on. So it's not about not failing. It's not about perfection.
Right.
It's about progress, and you can't make progress without making some mistakes.
Yeah, and you know, there's a famous Rocky movie. You know, I think it was, I think it's the last one. You know, as to where, you know, success is not winning all the time. Success is when you get up and you keep moving forward. When you take a hit and you keep moving forward. When you get told that you're inadequate or something in that sense, or you feel like you're inadequate, and you keep moving forward. You keep pursuing what it is that makes a difference in you. You keep pursuing your dreams, your talents, your capabilities. You keep moving forward. That's turning the thought, because it's leaving the negativity. It's leaving everything behind you, and you're pursuing things. It's almost like if everybody's had a situation as to where their car was stuck in mud or in the snow, and you're stepping on the gas and the tires are just going zzz, and right, and you're going nowhere, right? But then all of a sudden you let off just a little bit, in which case letting off is turning the thought in your head. Let off just a little bit, and then all of a sudden you lurch forward and you break free. Same thing with like a football player, you know, a running back. You know, it's like he keeps going in, he keeps on going into that line, keeps on going into that front line. And he gets tackled, then he gets tackled, then he gets tackled. But guess what? In the fourth quarter, he hits that line. He doesn't get tackled. He gets an opening. Bill Cosby said it once when he was playing Hofstra. He goes, "Look, there's a hole." And I've never seen a hole before against Hofstra. You know, and they're like, "Yeah, look, go, keep on going." He goes, "No, wait a minute. It might be a mirage." You know, it's like, again, he's going back into that negative frame. He's like, no, it can't possibly be, you know, and you know, but that's what the guys who succeed, they fail more times than you can possibly imagine, but they keep getting up, they keep moving forward, and next thing you know, they break free, and that's what Arisen Strength is really to promote. It's really to advocate. I know there are challenges out there. I know there's illnesses out there. I know that there's chronic pain that's out there. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to advocate for you and say, yes, you have the right to feel the way that you feel, but am I doing you any good by just letting you stop there?
Yeah, and what does turning the thought do for you in a challenge? It's an opportunity to try something different.
Yeah.
A lot of times we face challenges, and without turning the thought, if we don't turn the thought, we end up following the same patterns, making the same choices. We beat on our challenges in life a lot of times in the same way every time. But every challenge is really, it's an opportunity to do something different. It's an opportunity to look at the situation differently. It's an opportunity to look for the positive. It's an opportunity to not do some of the things that you used to do. It's an opportunity to do something different. Challenge becomes opportunity, and when you take advantages of opportunity, good things tend to happen.
Well, I mean, you've had one of your own situations, you know, when it came to your mental illness or capacity at the time, you know, stayed in your house for a year and a half.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I had a challenge every day trying to get out of the house,
Yeah.
and I had locked myself in for a year and a half. I did not go outside.
What was that?
For a year and a half.
Locked himself in.
You know, I had excuses every single day, 500 days in a row, 500 plus days, an excuse of why I didn't go out that day, or what series of excuses were keeping me in. And every day I would try and go through, and I would try to convince myself to go out that day, but I wasn't ever turning the thought. I was just doing the same thing every day, and doing that same thing every day kept me locked in. Until one day, it was about 1 or 2 in the morning, and it was enough. I went to the police station. Rather than try and go somewhere like, oh, Today I'm going to go to the store. Today I'm going to go do this. You know what? I'm going to go to the police station and get to the hospital and get myself some help.
Yeah.
And when I changed the thought, really turned the thought to actually focusing on getting some help, that got me out the door and got me the help that I needed. Took a few weeks in the hospital to get a little adjusted and right, and then find a new place to live and get myself in a situation where I could make smarter choices than I had been making for the previous year and a half.
Sure. You know, I mean, and look at the rewards. I mean, are there challenging days that you have now?
Yes, definitely.
Right? But the rewards are that you're out of that house. You live your life for you more than I know of most people, because I mean you do things that you feel are necessary for you, which is putting a value to yourself, and then you are probably one of the more brilliant people that I know when it comes to thoughts and language, and you're able to inspire me. You know what I mean? You inspired me when I came in. You know, it's like you made a difference in my life. So with that being the case, the rewards aren't always seen. They're you don't see it. You know, especially if you're locked in to that negative bias. It's like you don't see anything that's positive. You don't see anything that's turning them around or anything in that sense. I know. I mean, it's like similar to what Wayne went through. When I was in my depression, I had my bubble. You know what I mean? I just had my bubble. And I didn't care what was outside of my bubble. You know, let me tell you what was outside of my bubble. I had the same routine. Like you talk about how, you had the same cycle and everything like this. I had the same routine. It was pizza from Papa John's, okay? And that's not I'm not getting anything from Papa John's. But it's like I had boxes that were up to the damn ceiling, you know what I mean? And I'm not just talking one row. You know, I had containers of sweet tea, right? The empty containers and everything. And people would come into my room and then they would say, what is with these containers and everything like that? Forget about the pizza boxes. They don't want to talk about them. But what's with the containers? They thought like I was, Hughes or something. It's like, and I said, and I lied. I said, well, I'm saving them for the kids in order to do their projects for Christmas, their candles and stuff like that. I lied to stay in my cycle. You know what I mean? I didn't turn the thought, say, okay, if I get rid of these 20 bottles that they are, and they're gallons, it's like if I get rid of 20 bottles, I might have like a corner of my room that I could use outside of those bottles. Same thing with the pizza boxes. The pizza boxes are taking up space. But I was in my cycle. I was locked in. I was locked into my depression. I was locked into the not believing that things were going to turn around. And then things got worse, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I think that is one of the most important ways to turn thought is when you get locked in a situation like this, is that recognizing that, I'm probably not going to get out of this myself, that I need help. Recognizing that you need help, and then making that say, I'm going to actually ask for help. So you have that thought that says, I need help, and really owning that thought. That gives you the opportunity to say, well, okay, I need help. Now I have to ask for help, and then go ahead and take the action. Ask for the help. And at that point, you can stop doing a lot of thinking for a few minutes, for a few days, for a few weeks, whatever it takes. Let somebody else do some thinking for a little bit, so you can get your act cleaned up, whatever that entails doing. But getting hooked up with the right services, getting hooked up with the right therapist, getting hooked up with the right, new place to live, whatever it is, or just getting the place cleaned, whatever it takes. But until you can turn that thought, until you can think something different. You really get stuck, and you have to practice this. Really, the best way to practice this is now, before things get horribly bad, and then the thought that you have to have is almost life or death. You do this with full things in your life. And one of the ways you can do this is, and we did talk about it a little bit last week, was keeping a small list of achievable goals and checking them off. Yeah. So that way you're a reminder, because as Shane mentioned, you don't, well, you can fall into a pattern where you don't recognize your progress, or you don't even admit that you're making any progress, or you don't even admit that you have any capabilities or that you're actually doing anything. Well, if you keep a short list of something that you want to do, and it can be something very small, and then you can actually write it down, and then at the end of the day, end of the week, check it off, you can actually start seeing that, you know what, I think that I never do anything, but it turns out that I actually am doing things, and I am making progress, and now you can start that cycle. You start that, you start it rolling a little bit, and then it'll start getting its own momentum.
Sure. It's like, it brings me up to a situation, domestic violence. Think about that, okay? There are people that are out there that are in terrible situations, whether it be verbal or whether it be physical or both. Yet, they will not leave that situation. Now, they'll come up with every reason in the book why they can't leave. Well, I can't make it on my own. Or, well, I'll leave when the kids are done with school. Or, well, it's like, I could have been better at this, it's really my fault, in that sense. Or, my family loves the person, and so forth. They get locked in. They're locked in on that.
Yeah, it's not they don't try anything, because they'll try everything in the world to improve their relationship, except leave. Yeah. And leave doesn't have to be that you leave permanently either. I mean, it's just you need to get yourself removed from this situation for right now, so you can actually objectively see the situation and decide what's going on. But you have this locked-in thought that I can't leave. Okay, if I can't leave, then that limits all your choices that you can do. So they try everything, everything in quotes. They try everything with this giant limitation that I'm not going to leave.
Right.
When people in domestic violence situations don't improve typically until they get themselves removed from the situation, whether it's get to a shelter or have the abuser removed from the premises. Something like that has to happen. So if you're keeping yourself stuck, and domestic violence is a great example of this, then you're limiting your choices, you're limiting your ability to think about your situation, you're limiting your ability to find a solution, to find a way to help yourself. So turning the thought allows you to think about the situation differently, and then that gives you the freedom now to find something that's going to work for you.
Totally. And and the thing is that once you start valuing yourself, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to be, kind of controversial. Once you start valuing yourself, and that means ahead of anything else. That means ahead of your children even. Because you have to value yourself in order to make a difference for anybody else. It's sort of like the what they say on the plane. Okay? When the oxygen mask comes down, no matter how much you want to help somebody else, no matter how much, whether it's your child, whether it's your parents, whether it's your spouse, whatever, they will tell you, put the mask on yourself first. Why? Because you can't help them if you get overcome by what the problem is. And that's the situation with domestic violence. Now, another thing, people out there have chronic pain. I know a lot of people out there have chronic pain. People out there have these illnesses that are just terrible. They consume someone's life, and they sit there, and they're kind of like at the mercy of what other people say and do. So you have, what do I call that? Water on a grease fire. Okay? So here's the thing. Somebody might be trying to help you when it comes to your chronic pain. They're trying to acknowledge the fact that you have chronic pain. But because they can't fix it, they can't make you better, they're going to say it's because of your illness. It's because of your injury, the way that you are. Okay? That's a good scenario. Another scenario is they don't acknowledge what it is that you're actually going through, and then they start putting sort of like what's it called? Ultimatums on somebody and saying, well, you're making too much of this, or you can get up. I know you got pain, but you know what? Everybody's got pain every once in a while. And they start doing those things as to where they invalidate you. Okay? So these are the things that if you're sitting there and you are expecting somebody else to be able to get you out of your situation, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. Take it from somebody who knows. Because I used to live my life based on what everybody else thought and did. Because that's how it validated me. Okay? So here it is. You've got chronic pain. Let's say you have 8, 9, 10 pain. Now, in a good situation, somebody says, oh, it's like, I know that you're not feeling well. I know that you know what? You don't have to go to Jimmy's birthday party. You stay home and you just take care of yourself, because we don't, I know that you're in pain. That's a good scenario. Now, how are they helping you? Are they acknowledging the fact that you have pain? Absolutely. But are they getting you any better by making you basically pacifying what it is that you're going through? They're enabling what it is that you're going through? Are they helping you? Again, I mentioned this last week. People are not watching this show for me to acknowledge what it is that they're going through. That's part of it. But they're looking for more than that. They're looking for an answer. They're looking for somebody to help them to be able to get them to feel differently. Right? Because you can acknowledge yourself that you're going through what you're going through and not watch the show. People aren't.
Yeah, I think people want to feel supported. You want to feel
absolutely.
like you have supports. And one thing the supports do. Supports don't do the work for you. Supports are there as like a spotter when you're working out at the gym. It's to back up. It's a way where you can feel safe to make some choices because somebody's got your back. And that's a big part of having support. So you want to make sure that you have a nice support network, and you want to remember, if you don't do anything different, then nothing different's going to happen to you. Nothing changes until something changes.
What you focus on is what you become. Okay? What you focus on. If you're focusing on the fact that you're in pain, guess what? You're going to be a person in pain. You're going to be limited. Now, are you limited or are you limitless? Okay? Because this is what it is I'm a motivational speaker, okay? I'm not here just to say, oh, I understand that people are going through what they're going through. That's part of it. But you're watching the show for a reason, and that reason isn't just for me to say that you're in pain. You already know you're in pain. Okay? So, it's like, so when we get locked in, we can't get out of our way. We can't get out of our situation. We can't. And then your dreams, talents, capabilities, they go away. Goodbye. They're nowhere. They're not even thought of anymore. You're doing everything that you can just to get through the day. It's like I have many people who are part of the group, who sit there and they put updates in regards to their pain ratio. Is it 8, 9, 10, 12, whatever the case may be. Which is fine. I get that because you need some acknowledgement. You need some, that's why we created Essential Needs, was because we needed people in order to have a spot where they can go, where people can acknowledge what it is that they're going through. But to just say, oh, I understand, or oh, I feel for you, that's like somebody, oh, I wish it was different for you. What does that do? You know what I mean? What? Oh, thank you. It's like, thanks for acknowledging me, but what does it really do?
Right. At least they're not weighing you down at that moment, but that's not enough.
They're keeping you in that box.
Right. Yeah. It's a start, but it's not enough, and we have to take some ownership ourselves. We have to pull the oars a little bit ourselves. We have to make some motion. We have to make some movement. We have to use our supports. If the person is going to be there to support us, then let's use them as a support. That means try and do something different. And that's a big part of turning the thought.
And take ownership.
Yeah, turning the thought is about thinking something different. It's about seeing the situation differently. Mm-hmm. It's about challenging, really, your preconceived notions. If you've been in a rut for a year, it's about challenging that then. So one of the things that I'm saying to myself, and let me just challenge them. I'm going to challenge them. And by challenging those thoughts, coming up with a new way of looking at something, it gives me an opportunity to try something different, something that I had never considered before. It's about thinking a new way of thinking so that I can come up with new options.
And here's another thing, language-wise. I want you to get used to saying the words right now. This is how I feel right now. I have a headache right now. I don't feel well. My stomach isn't feeling well. Or I can't move. Or I can't, it's like, or my leg hurts me to the point as to where it's like, this is what I feel right now. Because that's acknowledging what it is that's going on. That's not invalidating you. That is true. It is true right now. Does that mean that it's going to be that way an hour from now? Is it going to be that way a day from now? 2 days from now? Why limit it yourself? It's like you're giving yourself the opportunity for things to turn around, to change around. You're not locking yourself in. When I used to say, I'm having a bad day, okay? As I started getting into this, I started realizing saying that I had a bad day was a predetermined moment as to where the rest of my day was going to be bad. It didn't matter what it is that was going on.
You're going to seek to validate that feeling.
Exactly. Because you're seeking to validate exactly what's going on within you. If you're sitting there and you don't feel well, you want to validate you don't feel well. When you're sitting there and you're in pain, you want to validate you're in pain. I get it. But the thing is, again, if you go to the extreme, it becomes detrimental. So let's get it to the point as to where we start thinking differently. Let's get it to the point as to where we start being able to turn the thought and use our power to do so.
Yeah, this is important. Be clear about challenging your thoughts. Just because you challenge your thoughts too doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to change your opinion on it. Right. It's just a challenge. It's just say, okay, well, let me just see. Is this really the way I want to think about this? If you are in constant pain, it's maybe okay once in a while to say, you know what, I'm going to challenge the thought that the pain is keeping me from doing something. Yeah. It doesn't mean that maybe you have to go back and say, you know what, no, I tried it, but I'm going to make an honest effort to challenge my thoughts. And then if it turns out that those are the right thoughts, then those are the right thoughts. That's okay. But at least you challenged them, you tested them, so yeah. And you're able to move on. So challenging your thoughts doesn't necessarily mean you have to change your mind, that you're forced to change your mind. Maybe in practice, when you're practicing it in the very beginning, you might want to challenge your thoughts and actually do, opposite George from Seinfeld. He did a little experiment. If you ever saw the episode, and so he did it on silly little things. He wasn't doing opposite George on the life and death stuff. It was.
But his life changed.
His life did change in the show, of course, it's a comedy show. But the idea being, for practice purposes, is let me take these small situations in my life, and let me think about them differently. Let me act differently on them, and let me see how that goes. And I'll start noticing what that feels like and how that goes. And then, you know what? Maybe seeing something differently it can be a good thing. Maybe it opens my eyes. It widens my view, because it's not like the old view goes away either. A lot of times it widens your view where you're doing, because you can always look back at the old way of doing things. it's still there. I can still see that, but I've widened my view, and that's really what we're trying to talk about a little bit here.
Well, you remember I talked about it earlier in the week. There was a moderator that I was talking to with a group, and the group happened to be a chronic illness group, and so they were questioning as to why it is that Arisen Strength was promoting on their group. It's like, I don't normally do that. Normally I'm invited to promote on a group. But so anyways, they were valid in their concern and their question. So she said, well, what's Arisen Strength about? So I said, okay, well, you obviously aren't watching the show. So okay, let me tell you what it's about. So I went ahead and I told her, it's like, look, we try to help people. We try to make it so that people, pursue their dreams, talents, and capabilities in spite of the challenges that they face. And I gave her, my personal time, about 10, 15 minutes or so. And I'm telling her what it is that Arisen Strength is all about. So here's the answer that I got. That sounds great. That's amazing. She goes, but I don't think it's going to work for the people in my group. And so I'm like, well, that's not the answer I was looking for from you, but okay. All right, so, well, why do you say that? Well, it's because, the people in my group are just too sick. Locked in. You're locked in. It's like, you're not always, every day is always too sick. Arisen Strength acknowledges the fact that there's going to be challenging days. They acknowledge the fact that there's going to be days where you aren't going to be able to do a damn thing. I have those days, okay? I'm the co-host, I'm the creator of the show. I have those days, but not every day. And so, to say, well, they're just too sick in order to benefit from it. I wanted to go through the screen. I really wanted to go through the screen and say, you need to acknowledge the fact that they're not that always sick, and that they do have dreams and talents and capabilities that they're trying to pursue. And anyways, so, but that's just an example of being locked into that thought. And so one of the reasons why I bring that story up is we have a habit of getting involved into these support groups. We have a habit that these support groups in regards to what it is that we're going through. MS, we get involved into MS groups. Chronic pain, we get involved in chronic pain groups. Lyme disease, stays with Lyme disease, whatever the case may be. I challenge you to go to another group that's outside of what it is that your challenge and struggle is. I challenge you. Find something else to talk about. Find something else to think about. Get unlocked from where it is that your box is that you can't get out of. Because I'm telling you, it's like we talked about it last week when it came to the elephant. Baby elephant, okay, the way that they train a baby elephant to stay in the area, they just put a little chain on it. And when I say it's not a little chain for you and I, but it's a little chain for an elephant, okay, and they keep shortening it each time that they test it out. And so they make it shorter and shorter and shorter to the point as to where the elephant says, well, I can't go anywhere. And next thing you know, they're not going anywhere. They're just staying right where they want them to be. Now, here's the thing. That elephant could break that chain. That elephant could make a run, break the chain, be free, and gone. And has for a couple times before. But that's how they train an elephant. An elephant that's the size, like, bigger than anything that you can imagine as far as power-wise, and yet they can keep them on a little chain or a rope. Some of them are just a rope, and they stay in that little area. They stay in the box because they're locked in. They know they can't get away. So this is where, and if I was to talk to the elephant, I'd be like, hey, here's the thing. I'd be whispering in his ear, run that way. Run as hard as you can. Because the first thing that he's going to feel is it's going to give. that steak is going to come out just a little bit. It's not going to come out completely. Just like it's not going to work completely for you every single time that you turn the thought. But it's going to give a little bit. It's going to give you power. It's going to give you ownership to where it is that you can make a difference in your life. It's time for you to make a difference for you. It's time for you to realize the power that's within you to make a difference for you. You start going forward. You keep moving forward. You pull yourself out of that box. You keep moving forward. Yes, you're going to take hits. Yes, you're going to end up you're going to be sick one day more than what it is that you were the other day. Yes, you are going to have pain. If you have chronic pain, that's going to happen. Yes, I'm going to have depression. Okay? That's going to happen. But if you keep moving forward, you're going to realize you have more power than what it is that you think. And then you can make the best of your days that are good days. And that's what Arisen Strength is really all about. I mean, it got you out of your house.
Yeah.
Right? You know? It's just to challenge that thought, just to make a challenge, just decide to challenge it. If you sit there and you're thinking one way, get out a pad, right? Hello, see this? I write down on this every day. Every day I write on something. I write something that's down on this pad right here. Every day, whether I'm at work, whether I'm at home, whatever the case may be. Challenging the thoughts that I have. Okay? If I'm sitting there and I don't feel well, you know what? Or I wish I could. Why can't you? Right? And I write it down. Why can't you? You know, if you need to take yourself out of the equation, think of a friend. Think of how you would advise a friend in the same situation that you're in. How would you have them feel better? How would you have them make a difference for themselves? How would you do that? Would you tell them, oh, you know what? I understand that you don't feel well. You know, what? I don't need you to be part of, so and so's birthday. I don't need you to be part of, we're going on a trip. And I don't need you to be part of going swimming at the beach. Or these are all things that make a difference in life. These are all things that make a difference to where it makes you feel alive. It makes you. It's like I said before. It's like we are not put on this earth to just merely exist. We're put on this earth to live. And so when it comes to those types of situations, turning the thought, yes, I'm not feeling well. Yes, I have pain. Okay, I have it right now. Right now. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be all the time.
Yeah, talk about being on this earth to live, because survival is about being alive, but living more than just being alive.
Right.
We talk about this in the recovery show. You actually, when you're out there doing something, when you kind of start seeing your purpose, you may not know exactly what your purpose is, but you have a sense of what your purpose is. When you start on this journey toward doing something, and then it awakens something inside of you. Yeah, that's when you know that you're starting to be alive. You're starting to live. You're not just merely alive, but you're actually living.
Awakens, arisen. Oh, arisen strength. It awakens the strength within you. That's where it comes from. Because you have it. You have it. People, one of my best mentors in life, unfortunately he's passed since, he always instilled in me, you are specially and uniquely made. There's something within you. It's yours. You can do it for you. And that and he instilled that into me, and it got me to thinking. It got me to challenge what it is that was going on in my head. No, I don't feel all that well, but guess what? Nobody else can get me out of it because it's within me. It's within me to get me out of it. I feel the equation. I have the reasoning. I have that passion that I'm missing, and it's within me. I may not feel it. I used to say the words broken all the time. I used to say, I feel broken, okay? because I did. And we talk about those feelings of which they're valid, okay? But I had also within me the strength that was able to pull me out of it. I had the passions that were able to pull me out of it. You know, whether it be I play golf or whatever, you know, whether golf or speaking or motivation or whatever. I had them within me, but they were gone when I was locked in. They were nowhere to be found when I was locked in. When I finally decided to challenge whether I was locked in or not, I started getting a little bit further. I started going a little bit forward. And I started feeling that give that was allowing me to move. And finally, I tested it out more and more. And I moved a little bit forward, a little bit more, and a little bit more. My progress wasn't in one day. Okay? It was 4 years. 4 years. I didn't just decide, you know what? I think I'm going to turn the thought and life is going to be much better. No. I turned the thought, and I got used to turning the thought. And I got to the point as to where all of a sudden I was able to move forward just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Then I started writing. And I started writing, you know, it's like writing a paragraph to a chapter. It takes the first paragraph to get it moving, you know. It takes the first challenge of you know, to turn the thought, to get it moving. It's not going to just all of a sudden be gone, you know, hey, I'm better and everything, and nope, I don't have any more pain, nope, I don't have any more chronic illness, nope, I don't, you know, no. It takes practice. It takes active work to be able to do this. But I promise you, there will be a reward. You may not see it right away, but you will find a reward in the end. And that goes for people out there who are dealing with some things as to where their life expectancy is less than most. Live as much as you can. Get out of life what you can. And be that difference. Turn the thought and watch what happens. Folks, that's tonight's show. You know, if you want to get in touch with us, we have a number of ways that you can get in touch with us. You can email us at arisenstrength@gmail.com. You can see us at Twitter. We have our own page, which is @arisenstrength. If you want to tweet to us, use that hashtag. That'll get that, and Arisen Strength, all one word. That'll get to us. And we have our group, of which is the Arisen Strength family. And the new addition, of which we're really, really excited about, is our Arisen Strength Interactive Studio, where you can actually watch the shows at the same time as being able to interact with us in our chat room. It's something that, you know, we haven't found the bottom to yet. I mean, with all the things that we can do with it, we're really excited about it. So definitely get in touch with us, give us feedback. We want to make a difference, and I know how it is that it feels. I know what it's like to feel broken. I know what it's like to feel locked in and in a box. But I also know what it's like in order to turn the thought. Turn the thought and see what happens. Good night, folks.